Hello, everybody. First episode to Live Fast, Die Shitty. I am Sue.
Tuna.
LD.
And Chico.
Yeah, how's everybody doing? What's going on?
Doing alright?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Good.
Who's got something fun? Let's spill. Who's got what?
So I have something that was interesting. So I recently was on an airplane. I was on an airplane a couple days ago, and I was in the airport. And the place that I had went, we drove there. So I wasn't really concerned about what was in my bag. So I went through security, and they pulled my bag off the line, and I had to go to the other place so they could go through my shit.
This is the random check.
Yeah, no, it wasn't random. There was something wrong. My bag got
They
X-rayed.
scanned it and they
And
saw
they
it
were
there
like,
or something.
and they
Okay.
pulled it,
Something's
and
in
I was
there.
like, shit, because I don't know what's in there. So, so he opens my bag. I don't know what it is. He starts pulling stuff out, and fortunately, it was a knife. And that's not something that you would think, fortunately, TSA found a knife in my bag. But what I was worried about is, is this dude about to, pull my vibrator out? What's going on? What's going to happen? Are all these people in line?
How big was the knife?
It was a pocket knife thing.
Okay.
So
How big was the vibrator?
no. So I was just worried about that. So I started, and it wasn't even, okay, it wasn't the vibrator. It's because, the reason I'm bringing up this story is because it wasn't a vibrator. It was a butt plug. And that's
All right.
And that's why I'm embarrassed to say that out loud. But I'm just saying, this dude, I was worried that this dude was going to pull my butt plug out of my bag and be like, you can't take this on the plane. Irrational.
Butt plugs are a dangerous weapon.
Irrational, but anyway, he pulls out this knife, and I was like, thank God. And that's not something you'd think. It's I could have gotten arrested for this, but I was more worried that everyone in line at TSA was going to know I'm into butt stuff.
And you'd have to say goodbye to your butt plug.
Right,
To
which,
never-
so,
wouldn't
it
be able
wasn't
to
the
go
butt
on-
plug.
yeah.
It was fine. But that got me thinking, why are we so... Why is anal sex, such a big deal? It's a pretty normal thing. And I was talking about it with a buddy of mine, and he was asking me why chicks are so weird about it. And I was just thinking, it's not that big of a deal.
I think it's poop.
It might be a poop thing. Also, I think because there are a lot of ways to have anal sex, but there's really only one right way.
I'm afraid of poop. I'm afraid of poop.
Yeah.
I know how shitty I shit. So I know that my concern with anal sex, for me personally, just based on my butt, my personal shitty butt, is that I know it's gross.
You just clean out.
And
before.
I'm also, okay, I understand that these are, I don't ever know when I'm going to have sex. I don't have a relationship. So if I have sex, it's random. I might, I did the one time, I shit my pants before going over to this guy's house, and I was closing the bar, and I had already turned all of the lights out in the basement. So I went down there, and I had to take my underwear off and throw them away, but I didn't throw them away because I'm poor. So I rolled them up and put them in my backpack.
Ew.
And then, and then I cleaned myself up with the flashlight on my phone in the dark.
Oh
and
my
then I went over to his house and slept with him. But obviously I didn't do anal because I knew that I had the shittiest butt ever.
So, all right, at least you have that, because, I imagine with you two, if some dude's going down on you, and does he ever, try to, lick your butt, but there's, a time where, you're, kind of, tense up, and you're like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, I haven't wiped clean for 8 days.
I am more of just it's less about poop. So I was in a relationship for over 3 years, and we had done everything weird, because when you're with someone that long, you just get bored. So we did a lot of butt stuff. So I didn't worry so much about that. One time we had a conversation about it. He's like, babe, I've seen your poop. It's fine.
Doesn't every guy eventually bring that up, though?
Yeah.
Don't they all want anal eventually?
So a buddy of mine was asking me.
I actually just had this conversation just 20 minutes ago with somebody I was talking to.
Yeah, it's a big thing. It's a hot button topic where he was asking me. He was talking about something and said that he would not give up jerking off for anal. And I was just like, you've clearly never had anything in your butt it's great.
If a straight guy's been with a girl for too long, isn't that like the uncharted territory?
Yeah,
Is to, like,
eventually-
let's go to the other side and like.
So
Oh yeah, absolutely.
See how this
yeah,
is, like-
yeah, because you're doing like regular sex
Like,
for a while, and then
You
eventually
know
like
that area, like
the
the
butt-
back of your hand, and it's like.
you're like, yeah, I want to get into that butt.
like
But I
yeah.
think the problem with anal sex in straight men is that it's such a taboo thing for straight men because it's like, I guess,
It's like the forbidden
Yeah, that-
area. Most girls don't like it.
but I
Yeah,
just think that
some
men,
do.
most straight men have never had anything in their butt. So they don't know how to do it right because they don't know what it feels like. And it's not just like fucking a vagina.
Just shoving it in there.
can't
but you
do
can't
that.
also just shove your dick in a vagina either. Like that still hurts on both ends. I'm sure it doesn't feel good for you guys, but for the guys' end, it also still sucks.
I also think it's taboo for girl on girl like crime because I feel like girls aren't open to their friends having butt sex. Like even if they're like, oh, that's cool, you did it. Like behind your back, they're gonna be like, wow, like that nasty whore. Like she let him fuck
That
her
was
up
the other
ass.
thing.
Like,
There's that big. That was something else I thought about is that anal is still such a taboo thing that like if someone were to be like, I love having sex, you're like, okay, cool, or I love giving head, you'd be like, all right, you're a little freaky, but I'm into that. But if someone says they love anal, you're like, wow, who invited this freak?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like what is wrong with
But
you?
then I feel like
love
the
it?
girls are like, what a butt slap. But the dudes are like, yes.
Maybe.
I mean, I think it's like there's like a thing. There's like, I don't know. Like I feel like there's a lot of things that are taboo for women amongst other women. Butt sex is one big thing. Like it's like you're extra fucking sexual if you you know what I mean. Like you're
Right.
Right.
you're is another level, but it's not. It's all we're all fucking naked and with a person that we want
The
to be
girls
touching.
talking
Like it's
about
a
it
thing. But I also think
probably do anal. They're just like not as comfortable to admit it in public, so they're gonna judge the girl who's talking about doing anal.
But I also think there's a lot of things that like for even more so for men like
Yeah.
like oh I don't want to like buttholes if I'm a straight man, you know,
Yeah,
or
they get
like
to be
I don't
like
want
a
to be like
homophobe,
being like
like,
extra
yeah.
sexual and open about it for a man is like just different.
Oh, like yeah, you can't put
Like
your finger out there.
women are sexual, men straight men are you know.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, because like I'm someone that like I like getting my butthole licked. I've had,
great.
yeah, it feels amazing.
Yeah.
And I've had girls go, "Oh, can I play with your butthole?" I'm like, they're blowing me. I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then they actually surprised me with the finger up. I was like, "Oh, okay, hello, hi, how are
Thank
you?
you.
All right, this is fine. I wasn't expecting this, but okay, keep going. Totally fine with it."
I've never met a straight man who has not been surprised with the finger and not happy about it. Like they will come up to me if they're my girlfriend's boyfriends and be like, "Hey, she stuck her finger up my ass last night, and I kind of liked it." Like, that was like,
Because it
that
does
was
feel
cool.
good. Just
Like-
because you have like a finger or a tongue in your butthole as a male, you know,
Yeah.
it doesn't make you gay. And that's, I think, with the like, oh, if I do that, then,
Yeah.
then I'm going to be gay.
So there's
It's not
this-
the fact at all.
There's that big stigma of like it being this like crazy dirty thing, and it's like it took a lot. Like my ex and I did a lot of butt stuff. I didn't very much before we were together, but he was really into it, and then I got into it, and I was like, yeah, this is great. And then after a while, I realized we weren't just talking about my butthole, and I was also like, awesome, like that's super cool. Like you can be more comfortable about it. If you're having sex with a woman, there's nothing homosexual about it, which is what like dudes get so freaked out about.
Yeah.
Just because it's your butt. And even if it is a homosexual thing, good. It's just like dudes, straight men have this idea in their head that like if you touch my butthole, that means something about me, and it's just like
it makes me gay.
I'll be at Pride. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's full. Yeah, I'm gonna find out
Yeah.
that this is what I was missing out on my whole life. But it's just like
So it's a fear.
it's full of nerve endings.
I think
it
so,
feels good.
yeah.
Like it's connected to all
And
your
it's like
other
you
sexual.
like the girl touching your butthole.
It's a girl
Like, that
doing
is-
it.
and you're into her.
Yes.
So like I feel like Cheeks there, you're gonna be, were you leading up to like strap-ons? I feel like this is where this is leading up to.
You know what? Here's the thing: is that one time when I was really young, I was like 19. A guy asked me to peg him. And I am like, my bedroom is a safe space. I want people to feel comfortable telling me about their little kinks and stuff. And like, I'm not going to be like, ew, you're weird. I'm like, I'm going to drink a couple beers and let's figure this out. So we did that, but I was like 19, so I had very little experience with anal sex. So I did it wrong because I didn't know what it felt like. I didn't know the right way to do it. So my thing is like, I think a lot of people are so averse to it is because someone did it wrong and they just think that it's bad or it hurts or it's, so I think it was just kind of like.
And as you said, anal can easily be done wrong.
Yeah, there's
I've-
a million ways to do it and one right way to do
Right,
it.
yeah. I've had like girls who are like, no, I don't want to do that, and like it's always been bad. I'm like, did they do this? And they go, no. I'm like, well, that's the problem. They're just trying to shove a dry dick in your asshole.
Yeah, which is gonna hurt anyone anytime. That is like, it's a very delicate process. So I think that like the big thing that I was working up to is that it's not this taboo thing, it's not this painful thing, it's just part of normal sex for men and for women and anyone in between, and it's just like normalize butt stuff 2019 is kind of how I feel. Like, it's okay to talk about it.
Fair enough.
And like, I think that that's kind of what it was, that there's this big stigma around it, that I would rather have gone to airport jail for having a knife than for this random man with rubber gloves on to find my butt plug. Because I don't want anyone to know. Like, I'm just going to become like this slandered anal queen.
Do you
So
think
people
the
you have no idea in the airport.
Yeah, like
people at the airport would have
you know.
just been like that whore
even-
pointing at you?
Yeah, look at her, girl. Yeah. And I said that to my ex
What
about
city were you in?
I was in Memphis.
They would
So
have
you-
put like a scarlet letter on you.
Yeah, you're the
B
You're
on my chest.
Yeah, you're the
butt
Memphis
stuff.
butt plug queen.
Yeah.
Anal, A
The
for
Memphis
anal.
anal queen. Yeah, and like, honestly, I said something to my ex about it because I was like, thank God it was just a knife. And he was like, I mean, well, who isn't into butt stuff? Because he didn't think about it like that. Like, the TSA guy was probably just going to be like, oh, I have the same one. Or got mine in right now.
He'd be
Have a
like,
good
oh.
flight.
Yeah.
You know, like, he wouldn't have cared.
I'm
but
sure you're not the first butt plug that he's
no,
found.
and he wasn't even looking for my butt plug. It was because I was trying to carry a weapon onto an airplane. So it wasn't even like the butt plug brought.
He
like,
would never have even pulled it out.
No.
He would have ignored your
But-
butt plug, 100%.
But my first thought was, oh no, my butt plug's in there.
Well, you know, they
They're gonna
probably
think something about me.
they saw the butt plug in the X-ray, but they're like, cool. There's a vibrator,
Yeah.
butt plug. Oh, there's a knife.
Yeah.
Pull her aside.
But my initial reaction was like a
The
reaction
paranoia
to
ha-
that
yeah.
stigma.
Well, we have this reaction to where, like, for some fucking dumb reason, sex is taboo.
Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form, we shouldn't talk about it amongst other people. We shouldn't.
Right.
We shouldn't have this thing, which is funny because I went on this fucking Tinder date. Okay, so I made this Tinder
Right.
specifically to go on dates and see what the fucking weird world of Tinder is.
Yes.
And I tried to hang out with this guy. He was like the same age as me. He also works in the service industry. He said he was coming out, so I'm like sitting at this bar all night, like waiting for this guy to show up. He said he was trying to get his friend to come, and then he ended up going to a bar like down the street and not showing up. And at that point, it's like bar closed, and he's still texting me. So I'm like, well, do you want to just hang out? I'll come pick you up. You can come over to my house. And so I go and I pick him up, and it's really awkward. He's a lot
Sure.
smaller than me.
He was a little guy.
A lot small. He was a very small man. Skinny wise, not necessarily like a height thing. Just like, I am a big Amazon woman and he is a fucking little tiny guy.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh God. And so we go back to my house and like we're sitting on the couch and we put on a movie that he brought with him.
Well, yeah. What did you want?
It was
Wait, what?
what's that fucking movie I was talking about yesterday, Mike? It was with I don't remember. Anyway, it's Robin Williams.
Oh, Birdcage.
Birdcage. Okay, yes. So he falls asleep immediately.
During
We
the
put
Birdcage?
we put it on, and this
it's
dude.
what,
It's like
3
3:30 in the morning. This dude comes over to my house. He falls asleep, and so he's like, I'm sorry, I'm really fucking tired. And I was just like, okay, yeah, whatever. I was like, you can sleep in my bed if you want to. Like, it's not weird. I'll take you home in the morning. Like, whatever. Anyway, so moving on. I take him home in the morning. No sexual interaction at all. No nothing. Take him home in the morning. Everything is like, whatever. He texts me later the next day, and he's just like, hey, it's like late night the next night. Just doing my my side job at home. And I was like, what are you, like a cam girl? And he was like, and I was like,
oh boy.
I don't know. I was like, do you play World of Warcraft for money? Like, what do you do at 3:00 in the morning at home as your side gig? He was like, no, you already guessed it. I was like, oh, you like webcam sex stuff?
Oh my god.
And he was like, yeah. And I was just like, is your dick really big? Like, what do you do? I was like, do you do sex tease stuff on camera? Do people like pay you?
Like
what
the
do you do? Like,
chat
tell me.
roulette,
I'm
we're
so
just
fucking
jerking
curious. I want to
off.
know. And he was just so fucking like nonchalant about it. Like, I didn't know what to do. Like, oh god. But initially when like this happened, I was like, what the fuck? Like, this guy does sex stuff on camera? How weird. Because it's so like not talked about. It's so like not something well, he's bisexual, but not something that I would have expected from a guy who I met on Tinder who wanted to hang out with me to be so open to tell me that that's what he does. And so initially I was like, wow, this is crazy. But then after like a couple weeks have passed, honestly, I'm just like, that's kind of cool. Like, go you. Like, that's
No,
like,
I would be annoyed if I were you, because you're jerking off on the computer and you couldn't even fuck me the night you stayed at my house or even have done anything with me.
I think when we both saw each other's size difference, we were both just kind of like, this could happen, but not today. We need more alcohol.
Well, he was already drinking on his own, right?
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
you
was really
got him at
drunk.
like bar closing.
Yeah.
So he was already hammered. So now did he just like snooze on the couch and like you went to bed, or did you like,
He slept
hey,
in our bed.
He slept in the bed with me, and I woke up in the morning because I was really drunk. I woke up in the morning and I was facing the wall, like tucked in my bed, and I was like, is there someone in here? I don't know. And I had to like turn around to look because it was so lightweight. I couldn't feel him there. And
He's
so
like the Eric
I
Foreman.
turn around and he's still there. Okay, so he gets up to use the bathroom, and I'm like thinking that he's like gonna gather his fucking belongings and leave. No, he comes and gets back in the bed.
And had to drive him home.
And just starts like laying there, and I'm like, so
Well, you did promise a ride home, right?
I guess, yeah.
So
I did
this is
promise a
also
ride
your
home.
fault.
But also,
Hey,
have you
yeah,
ever
there's a-
been promised a ride home and woken up in someone's bed in the morning and not just dip the fuck out?
Yes.
I've definitely done that. Yeah.
I would
never
Uber,
wait for a
yeah, you
ride.
can just fucking Uber your way out of there.
I literally
Oh.
very quietly like picked my shoes up and like grabbed my bag. One time I left a really expensive pair of glasses at someone's house, and I didn't know at the time, and then I tried to leave and my car got stuck in the snow. So I was stuck in his driveway while I was trying to escape this terrible Tinder date. And then I left, and he texted me, and he was like, oh, you're just leaving? You left these glasses here. They were like $200 frames. Like, I loved those glasses, and I was just like, fuck it.
They're gone now.
Count it as
It's
a loss. It's a
Can't go
loss.
It was a $200 date.
Because I just had to, like, escape.
Now,
Like that
guys
time
don't
you
like
climbed
it when
out of
you
the
do
window.
that.
Of course not.
Because I would always do it, and then once I got called out on it. But, like, leaving in the morning, I guess, can be seen as rude. And
Sure.
they take it personal. And
Well, yeah, but, like, it's, you know, I mean, it's
It
Tinder.
depends how you got there.
Yeah, it really
It
is. 'Cause,
really
like,
depends how you got
yeah,
there.
because like sometimes it works out like you bail in the morning and the other person goes, "Thank fucking God," and then there's times that you can leave and the other person's like, "Well, like
he must have
we
been the
could've got-"
only one then that didn't think, thank fucking God. Because he's the only time I ever got called out. But I was like,
Well, that's
I thought
interesting.
that's what you're just supposed to do. You
Yeah.
don't want to see each
The-
other
the
in the
cam-
morning. when
Yeah,
you're
they're
all
like I'm just gonna
hungover,
go.
like-
Yeah,
The camming thing is, like, fine if, like, it's just someone you meet and they tell you about it. But remember that story I told you about that guy? He was dating this girl for a long time, and he left his iPad at her house one day. And she was going through it, and she realized that he had been, like, camming the whole time while they were together.
Whoa, yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
bring up the same story.
Yeah, and it was just, like, this dude was just, like, jerking off in their kitchen on camera for money while they were together, and then later found out that he had been meeting really, really large women on Craigslist
That
to
he
like
was-
sit on him.
No,
for
no, he was
camera.
he was shitting on them.
Oh yes, yeah.
Like
yeah,
he,
you know who I'm talking
yeah,
about. Shitting
yeah,
on
no,
them?
yeah. We know that we know the same person.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
you know
and
who I'm talking about.
yeah, because originally, he was doing this, I guess, to buy like the engagement ring or whatever. Because when they like shared like iPads and had like a history for like shared history for their internet or whatever. So when she went back to look at something, she saw that like engagement rings, and she's like, "Oh, he's gonna propose to me." That's when she found like the chatterbait or whatever the fuck it was that he was jerking off. Then found the emails of the large women that he was going over and shitting on for money.
To buy her engagement ring.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Wait,
yeah, I
what you're
guess
telling
so.
me is there is a decent amount of large women in this area that are willing to pay money to be shit on for enough to buy an engagement ring.
yeah, apparently so. And I think everything would have worked out really well until she found out.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just didn't know there was a need for that.
well, he's married to someone else now. So,
Yeah, with a kid and all that.
Yeah. So I guess
But,
it worked out.
LD, we didn't finish your story. I want to get
Sorry.
back to this guy. We got a little sidetracked. I want to get back to like our skinny little buddy here.
I mean, really, nothing came of it. I asked him so many questions. I'll go through it.
It was
so,
good.
like,
She was pretty interrogative about it.
Like, I was like, I'm trying to like find it. Hold on, somebody fucking talk about something. Okay, so he's like, I said, "Are you a cam girl?" He's like, I was like, "You have to tell me." He's like, "I don't have to." I was like, "Well, no, you don't." But I'm like trying
But
to
it's already
imagine
been-
what you're doing at 3:30 in the morning. He's like, "You kind of guessed it anyway, I guess." And I was like, "So do you like just jerk off and people have to like keep paying money to keep watching, or do you have like a whole thing that you do?" He's like, people tip different amounts for different things, or I can start private shows. I had an ex who did it and always told me I'd be good at it, and I guess I am. I was like, I mean, yeah, I could totally see that. I couldn't though. I really couldn't see it. I was
Do
just
you
being
think
nice.
boys are watching him and paying him too?
Yes,
Yeah.
they are.
Oh,
They
yeah,
are.
yeah,
And
it has to
well,
be.
I
Yeah,
asked.
it
I
has
asked,
to be,
is it mostly men? There's a part where I ask that. I was like, so do you have like a giant penis, or does that not matter? Are you trans? He's like, I guess it's giant is sort of a subjective or something. I was like, no, giant's not subjective. Not really.
Being modest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, and he was like, I think that's part of the appeal, though. I'm still not sure if giant is the right word. I said,
Oh
should
my
we use
God.
above average? He's like, I mean, enough so that people pay me to see it, so I guess.
Do you wear
I was like, that's
condoms?
fascinating. He's like, yeah, it is what it is. And I was just like, yeah, sure. So do you do strip teases? I was like, are you like doing a strip tease right now while you're talking to me? Like texting? Is the phone a prop? Like, what are we doing here? I was like, are you jerking off to some Rob Zombie right now? And he was like, it's sort of winding down. And I was like,
Oh my god, this is a thing.
yeah,
This is
he
his
does
thing.
You
this.
should have him on here. You should
I
see
was
if he'd
like-
want to come.
Right?
We could bring him on as a guest.
Yeah.
Ask him
He said
about it.
only a few people seemed interested tonight. And I was like, well, that's cool. He's like, yeah, sort of a turn on, and it's easy money.
Sort of a turn on, so like he likes it on camera.
Yeah.
Like,
And the thing is too, is that like with like girls, you guys can get off like multiple times.
sure.
like,
or
eh,
just pretend.
Well, yeah, sure, yeah, you guys can fake it 100%.
Yeah.
But like with guys, like
You got your one and
so
done.
yeah, so once he comes, like, does he just like end his set
Must.
or like?
Must.
Yeah. All right. Have a good
He's
night,
like,
everybody.
listen, I just came. My dick's going soft. Give me a few minutes. I'll be right back.
Maybe dudes like that do that a lot, are like just taking a lot of Viagra or something just to like make it a prolonged thing. Because I mean, if that's your income, I mean, you got to keep it going, right? You got to for your fans.
Yeah, but sure, but like, how old was this kid?
31, 30.
Dude.
No, he's like 32.
So taking Viagra that young, that could probably fuck with you, like,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, for sure. That's interesting.
I mean,
it's cool.
still being young, you should still have like a lot of stamina, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess with the guy, you bust, and then you're like, okay, show's over. Thanks for the memories, and then just kind of like click your show off.
the memories.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's an interesting.
Maybe he just logs back on every few hours. And
Yeah, like once he
restarts
can get it back up and just like, I'm back,
Goes and
guys.
drinks some Gatorade, refreshes a little bit,
Takes a time out.
Yeah.
Quick nap.
Yeah.
Quick nap. Yeah.
eats some food,
And he gets back.
replenishes.
He's like, all right. He's like getting on. He's like, Eye of the Tiger's playing. He put some porn on the TV. He's ready to go.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
does
what I, yeah.
Maybe
that's
does a Q&A with his fans and sits there.
What did you guys like about that one? Did you like when I touched the head a lot? Did you like when I grabbed my balls? What do you guys want? Yeah.
Oh, you want some more edging? Yeah,
I
I can
mean,
do that.
okay.
I can
I
work that
do
in.
kind of want to see this guy's dick.
Me too.
And I
Yeah,
hadn't talked to him since that, really. I think he like texted me a couple times afterwards, but it had been weeks.
You should get a
Last
link.
night he texted me.
Oh.
Oh,
this
hey.
is good. This is
He
good. It's
said-
still recent then.
He
Go
said,
ahead.
"Oh, hey." And I was at a Cher concert 6 rows back, so I just texted him back a picture of Cher's face. And he was like, "Oh, have a good night."
Maybe he
Uh,
came to that.
This Cher
Maybe he
concert.
pulled up Cher's
He
face.
definitely
and
had a
just
Cher
started.
piece that night.
Yeah.
He wore a wig.
Yeah. And that
She
Cher
wore a ram
bodysuit.
hat.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
see-through
I
black
think-
lacy bodysuit.
LD, what I think you need to do is ask him like what his link is,
we
so you
all
can
watch it.
watch. No. Well,
Oh.
well.
I
yeah,
know
yeah.
we can. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously-
Tuna's in. He's in for watching it.
No,
I don't want to see it, but
I want
still.
to see it. Obviously, I've already thought of this, but I'm not paying for that.
We can
Right.
split
No.
Well, I think how it usually works, like, I think they start off, it's like you could just see stuff, and then
Right.
once people start paying more money, then I think they'll start stripping down or doing whatever. Then there's people that could pay for private shows.
Yeah.
So I think if you at least got a link, you could probably get something. But I think if you can watch this, bring it back onto the next pod.
I
this
just
would be
I
hilarious.
just could not like after like hanging out.
Can what can we call this guy?
I
so
call
that way-
him, Sammy Davis Jr. Jr.
All right.
Do women get off on watching guys jerk off or no?
No.
Gay guys love that shit.
Yeah,
They
so that's why I
love
think
a-
his audience is primarily.
They love a cum shot to nothing.
Yeah.
Like to like the floor or a table.
Cum shot to
or-
nothing is the name of my next album.
Right, and what's funny is that like it's funny you bring this up because I've talked with female friends and we've talked about porn, and they're like, "Yeah, I fucking love lesbian porn," and I'm like, "Lesbian porn's cool for a little bit, but it gets really boring because it's like they're just going down on each other for a really long time," and I'm
Yeah.
like, to me, I'm like, at first it's hot, but I'm like, you guys are doing this for a really long time. Like, what else? What else are we doing here? But once I started thinking about it, is that female on it, like you guys have vaginas, so you know what it feels like to
Right,
go
so-
down on.
so-
So when you're watching lesbian porn,
Oh,
you're
it's
like,
great.
I know what this feels like. This
Yeah.
is a turn on for me. So, Tuna, as you said that, when you're like, gay dudes get off on watching dudes jerk off,
Yeah.
it's because they also have dicks and they
know
know
jerking
how it
off
feels. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
All to the imagination.
yeah, they love a jerk off tape.
Yeah, I was thinking about something about porn earlier, because I had sent a screenshot to my ex-boyfriend because he had asked me what I was doing, and I was like, watching porn. And he was like asking me about it, and so I was thinking like, everybody watches porn, right? And everybody watches
Of course.
their own. Everybody has their thing that they're into, but
Right.
no one is really like, people will talk about porn with their friends and they'll be like, oh, I like this or I watch this, but no one really gets into like the actual like depravity of the stuff that they really watch, you know, like, because you'll like be you'll find something and like the stuff that when you get done and you're
Because it
like,
can be like level barbaric.
yeah,
Like, it's
and
like-
you get done and you're like, God, I can't believe I just jerked off to that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
what the fuck
Oh,
is
yeah.
wrong
No,
with
I've definitely
me?
been there. Yeah.
I worked with a woman who she came into work one day and she was freaking out because I want to say she was like, I can't remember if she's 12 or 14, so let's say she's 13. Her 13-year-old daughter, she looked at her laptop history, and
No.
her 13-year-old daughter had been watching like some serious porn. Like she had been watching like super fucking raunchy, dominating,
Oh,
crazy
shit.
porn, right? And I
Yeah.
was just like, oh well, whatever. Like we like to explore. She's entering that age. She's going through puberty. She's exploring her sexual side. She was like, I don't want my daughter to go into adulthood thinking that this is what sex is. Like, I want her to think that, like, there's a more intimate connection in sex when she enters that world, not that it's just like this thing that people do.
Yeah.
And like, I get that in a way, and like I could like level with her, but I also am like, but that kind of is sex too.
And it is sex, but also that's just porn.
Yeah.
Porn is not
is.
realistic.
Right.
You know, it's just like this crazy thing. And if you're like in your bedroom by yourself and you're just like, you want to like masturbate real quick and you just like put something crazy on. Like, I was thinking about that. Like, I would talk to my ex about porn that we watched or he had watched or whatever, but I think that like that's such like a private secret thing. Like that, like,
yeah, my porn is my porn.
But-
I'm
Yeah.
gonna watch my porn by myself.
Right.
yeah.
I'm not gonna.
It's very rare if you actually find someone to be like, oh, you're into this too?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sometimes he would like put it on the TV if just we were having like a wild night, but I'm like, I don't want you to know that that's what I'm watching. Like,
But
if
think
I would,
of how easier it is now. 'Cause
Yeah.
now you can get anything right at the tip of your
right?
fingers.
So
like,
I will.
When you first found out about porn, like, you'd have to be like on your family computer that they
Yeah,
all
right.
shared, like
Yeah.
on like dial-up,
That's
and
how it
like
used to
hoping
be,
no one
yeah.
caught you. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one time when my
You had
my
to be
family.
smart enough to be able to
Yeah.
delete the history.
or like going
I
over your
wasn't.
buddy's house,
I
'cause, like his
wasn't.
family had HBO, and like
Yeah.
staying up late and being like, "Oh, we're gonna watch a real sex."
I just used to
Like,
watch real sex. Yeah, that
oh
was
yeah,
my
dude,
porn.
real sex was so
like,
fun to
that
watch.
was, like-
A friend of mine told me about that, and he was just like, that was watching real sex with this 100-year-old ancient woman might have been the weirdest boners I've ever gotten in my life. And I'm like, you've probably had weirder boners, but like that's a weird one when you're like
But
like
now,
12.
like back to LD's thing, a 13-year-old can just be on their phone and they can have it all like super quick and like
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
image that comes to their mind.
Pornhub.com.
could be, like-
It's
Way better for them than it
Yeah.
was for us. Like,
yeah.
I certainly wasn't watching porn at 13 like that.
Mm-mm.
well,
I was
Not like that.
I lost my virginity at 14, and when I was like 12, 13, do you guys know what woods porn is? Anybody?
No.
Woods porn? Okay. Okay, yeah, me either. Just kidding. All right. So essentially, the way it is that me and a bunch of friends were out playing out in the woods, tag, paintball, whatever, and then you come across some like random log that has like Playboys in it, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? That's what boobs look like? That's a vagina? And then so like,
People put Playboys in the woods.
well, I mean,
That's
yeah,
where that's where they would go to jerk off.
yeah, because
Oh,
like,
before.
wait, yeah.
yeah.
right,
This is
right.
like, this is like mid '90s.
Yeah.
So you have to think that like maybe like an older brother had a Playboy, the younger brother found it, took it, went off into the woods, maybe jerked off, or at least brought his friends and go, "You guys, look at
Look
this.
at these
These are
boobs."
boobs,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And they're like, "Well, I have to hide it here now, so every time we hang out,
We'll
we can
come
come
back
back
to our
here."
club.
We can
Exactly.
look at boobs again and be weird around
Yeah.
each other.
That's woods porn. Yeah,
Okay.
that was a
Woods
thing.
porn.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a thing when I was like, I don't know,
remember
12.
being like 15, and this guy that I liked, he came over to he used to sneak into my window late at night because he would do his dad's paper route, and he would come into my bedroom and hang out with me. And
I've
one
n-
time he brought these magazines that he was like, I found these on the side of the road, and I like still
Uh-huh.
can't wrap my head around this, but they were naughty 40s and 50 plus.
Wow.
And they were like the most, like, I don't think I've ever seen anything as raunchy since in my entire life. Like, there was one like centerfold fucking thing of like this like enormous old lady in a like restaurant kitchen just covered in coleslaw.
What
And I was
the
like
fuck?
fucking her. And so I hid them in the bottom drawer in my bedroom, and one time I came home and my mom is like, "You filthy little animal! What is this?" And I was just like, "Oh my god, somebody found them on the side of the road, and they left
Did your
them
mom
here."
see the woman
so
in
I
the
put,
coleslaw?
Like,
Had
I
to have.
had to have. Oh my god. But yeah, no, they're like porno mags.
LD, do you remember back at my old house across from the high school, D and I we pulled like we were up at the bar we were at earlier, and we like stole like a porn mag that was up there. I forget for whose birthday it was, and there was a big black butts.
I do
porn mag.
remember
Do you
this.
remember that?
Yes.
Oh my god! Like I woke up the next morning and I was like, "What the?" It was just laying on like my like living room table, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I opened it up and I was like, "This is awful."
Big black butts.
That's
Yeah.
the beauty in the world, though, is that someone jerked off and got off to that, and
Yeah.
someone got off to the coleslaw.
Yeah.
Like, that was what they always
The
wanted to
coleslaw was
see.
a thing.
And that was-
Here's the thing, though. Masturbation is so different from sex.
It's so
Yeah.
personal. It's like a weird thing. Like when I remember one time my ex like was asking me about like what kind of porn I was watching, and I was just kind of being like, "Oh, it's just lesbian porn. It's a little bondagey. It's a little, you know." And I didn't want to explain to him like he just thought it was like some girls like making out, you know, or whatever. And I'm like, "No,
Spanking each other or whatever.
yeah, but no, it was like this woman had her whole fist in this other woman's ass, you know, like, and I don't want, because I don't want him to go, is that what she wants?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
is that, it's like porn is this very fantastical, idealistic, weird thing that you watch, you know, when you're
No, it's like
alone
theatrical sex.
in
Sure.
your
You
bedroom.
go
But,
through, like, cycles, too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And you like what you like, but like,
Yeah,
it doesn't
sometimes
mean
you're
I
into
want.
one thing and you're like, I'm
You
over
might not be
this,
into
you want
it.
another
Yeah.
thing. Now, Cheeks, are you into fisting?
I like to watch it, and I don't want that to happen to me. But, like, okay, so for example, if I was at a party, like a big house party, and I was like,
Where's
look-
this going?
Right, no,
I was like,
just
okay.
listen. No, this is how I feel about fisting. This is how I feel about it. If I was at a party, like a really big house party, and I'm like upstairs looking for the bathroom, and I like open a door, and there's a chick like getting fisted in a room, and they're like, "You want to try it?" And I would be like, "Yeah, probably." Like, maybe like I wouldn't want to get fisted,
But you
you-
want to
I
fist
would
somebody.
just to see what it's like.
Oh, so you're
Oh,
the
I
fist
would
in
fist
this
somebody.
situation.
All right.
Yeah,
see-
yeah. Because I
okay,
just want to see.
I
what
can
it
get
would-
down with that because, like, me, like, anytime, like, the fisting stuff comes up in the porn, I'm like, ugh, I can't watch this.
I like it,
But-
I like it.
No, see, I can't watch it. But in your scenario, if I were to walk in that room, they're like, hey, you want to fist this chick? I'm like, you got a rubber glove?
Kinda,
man,
yeah, kinda, yeah.
Where's the lube? Sure,
But
I'll
like,
try it.
I don't. So I watch it because it's just this like really outlandish, like crazy sexual act. And if I'm feeling weird with myself, I'm like, I kind of want to look at that. So I'm not saying like I'm super into fisting, and that's like back to the same thing with the anal thing. It's like I'm into butt stuff. I like anal sex, and to watch it and to do it, but I'm not like this crazy anal queen. You know, it's not like this weird thing, but those kind of like outlandish sexual acts, people are just like, so that's what you're into? That's who you are?
Maybe gay guys are just ahead of the time. Because they are anal queens and they love fisting.
Maybe normalize fisting
Like, and it's
2019.
just, like, yeah, brought up in
Yeah.
public conversation, like, no big deal. Like, oh, then I got fisted by him last night. And
Yeah.
they're just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I don't think that much anything could fit inside of my body. I mean, I'm sure I could be surprised, but like, I don't want to try. I
well, it
don't
would
want
depend on
to
the
do that.
fist.
Yeah, I mean,
Girls'
also, yeah,
hands are
if we
smaller.
have LD's skinny buddy, I'm sure his fist is going to be
Right.
just fine.
Right, but it's
I'm
not
sure
that
he can make a lot of money doing that, too.
on camera.
Yeah, you can help him. Yeah, you can go on cam. You can go part of the show. He's
But-
like, first I'm going to jerk off. I'm going to come. Then I'm going to fist this chick.
or get fisted.
Oh, touche.
I mean, maybe, you know. But that's the thing is that, like, personally for me, I'm into, like, anal porn and stuff like that because I feel like it is so fantastical. All of it's so rehearsed. Porn is just not real. You know, it's like
Right.
people are having sex, but they're just, like, thinking about doing their taxes, you know, just for, like, on camera. And I feel like anal is a different experience, so it is a little bit more real. So that's kind of like why I like to watch that, because at least it's like kind of a real thing.
It's
but-
like emotion.
Yeah, but because you know, it's like if you've done it, you know how it feels. They're not faking that, you know? But I just think that like your very like weird, specific porn depravity is not something that you just like bring up with your friends.
But do you think it says something about you?
That I just desire authenticity in all forms, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I think that it does probably.
And you think that's why people won't say it to other people? Is because
Maybe.
they feel like...
Or they just don't want to be a scarlet
I don't
letter.
want someone to know that like I'm watching this girl get a train ran on her, and I don't want
Yeah,
like
what
my
were-
friends to judge me.
What were you
Like-
saying about that show that you watched?
Oh, that in Difficult People, the girl was talking about how her telling her boyfriend that she doesn't want that, and he was like, I can never give you that, and she said, obviously you can't. I'm not a hostage victim, and you're not a whole hockey team, or something along those lines.
I know.
Like,
And that's the thing, it's because you don't really want that, but masturbation is so personal that, like, you're not going to get into that, like, really serious, like, crazy thing. But I don't know, I just thought that was interesting, because, like, even if your partner asks you about that, I'm like, I don't want you to know that. You know? It's like...
I used to always watch porn of straight guys skull fucking like gay twinks in garages.
Did you say in
In
garage?
garages.
Like,
Specifically,
Specifically
the
in
garage
garages.
was important.
like it would be like a straight dad and like
Are we
a
talking
little
about
twink,
like a
just,
house
like,
garage? Or
yeah.
talking about like a parking garage?
No, like a
No,
house
like your
garage,
parents'
like a man
garage.
working on a car, and then
Oh,
like
yeah.
some like little gay guy coming in and like him being like, "Take this, you faggot," and like him like just being skull fucked. They would always be called like Dad Skull Fuck's neighbor or something. I'm like,
Oh my god.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Porn,
right,
porn is a place.
It's
Yeah,
a personal thing that you have that you do, right? Yeah.
and like they'd be wearing like Harley shirts and shit like that. Like, and I
Dad.
don't know if I really
as
like,
dad
yeah.
as possible, yeah. And that's definitely like a psychological thing in you.
Like I don't want to walk down the street, walk to someone's garage, and be like,
No,
want to
but
shove it in my mouth,
But you've wanted
till I
to.
puke, like you know, like.
Oh God.
yeah, right, exactly.
So, I know I brought this up, like I lost my virginity at 14.
Oh yeah.
But the first time I ever fingered a girl, I was, I think 13. Let's go
Wow.
with that.
I thought you were gonna say 18.
Yeah,
I was like,
Yeah.
way after.
I never fingered
I
a chick
never
until,
touched it.
yeah. I just fucked girls for like 4 years, and then I finally touched the vagina 4 years later. No. So here's the funny thing, though, is that the girl lived across the street from me, and she was a whore.
Okay.
She would
I don't like that, but
yeah,
alright.
okay.
Anyway, tell
She
you.
All
was
right.
a she was a sexually,
sexual.
She was
Okay.
a sexual woman,
all right.
girl,
So
teenager.
so the one time, like me, her, my buddy, and my cousin, which is a female, handful of years younger than us, where everyone would like come over to my house and hang out like front porch, like that was a thing. But like this night, it's just the four of us, and she's like, "Hey, let's play Truth or Dare, and let's see how far that me and a boy named Sue can get." And I was like, "What?
Okay.
This is weird." So then it started with like, "I dare you to kiss, dare you to touch her boob," then it got to like, "Dare you to finger her." I was like, "Oh no, I actually have to go through with this."
You're 13.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Christ.
I know. So the house I lived in, we had like one of those like I don't know what you would call them, like a playhouse, like it's in like the backyard.
Yeah.
So we were like up there, like her and I are like up on like the top floor of it, and like my buddy and like my cousin are like down on like the bottom floor. I don't know why we were still all together. So this is all happening, right? So then like the next morning, I wake up. I'm supposed to go to my friend's house
Yeah.
and go to like Cedar Point. So I leave in the morning. I head over to his house. And I was like, "Hey, shit!" I was like, "I forgot my swim trunks. I'm gonna go skate home, grab those. I'll come back." Well, I get home, and I was like, "Hey, Mom, it's just me. Grab my swim trunks. I'll see you later." And she's like, "Wait, before you go, is there anything you want to tell me?"
No.
So my stomach drops. I was like, "What? No, I can't think of anything." She's like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yep, nothing. I want to tell you." She's like, "Well, here's the thing. Your cousin told me that this happened last night." And I was like, "Fuck." So my mom's like, "You're not going to Cedar Point, and you're now going to stay home and wait till your father gets home." And I was like, "Well, that sucks."
Yeah.
So now I'm up in my room, like, sweating it out. So my dad gets home. He comes upstairs. He's like, did you do this? I was like, yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know really what happened. And he's like, I'm not upset about it. But you have to go across the street and apologize to her parents.
Oh,
no!
I'm 13 years old.
Yeah.
Okay?
I'm sorry I touched your daughter's vagina.
Oh, yeah.
With my dirty 13-year-old
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So we walk over there across the street, and we walk in the house. Her parents are sitting on the couch. She's like sitting on the floor.
Oh, the poor girl.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
no.
I feel so
Yeah.
bad for
With-
this girl.
Oh, Jesus
So-
Christ and everyone.
I would have killed myself. Like 100%, I would not be here right now if that had ever
Is
happened
this
to
what
me.
started her reputation as the whore?
Yeah,
No,
let's
no,
not
no,
call
no.
her the whore.
Let's-
Johnny,
let's-
no.
I'm
kidding.
sorry. I
I'm
apologize
just
for
kidding.
that.
I'm
I
just
apologize
kidding.
for that. Let's not use
I
whore.
was
I
just
apologize. She was, more sexually
Active.
fun. Yeah.
Sexually
So-
active person.
So I walk into the house with my parents. Both of her parents are sitting on the
She was
couch.
ahead of her time.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's sitting on the floor, so it's like, oh man, I'm like
soul.
sweating. I'm like, oh my god, this is the worst. So it's like my parents on the couch. So it's like I'm just gonna sit down next to her, and then like, now that they're like talking, and they're like, do you guys know what you did? And we're like, yes. And then like, yeah. And then they're like,
Sorry, Mummy.
so then once they start talking about it, then they start like trying to like bring up like, hey, here's how sex works. We're 13, so we start laughing, and they're like, stop laughing. We're like, okay. Oh, sorry. And then it got to the point, my mom's like, what do you have to say? And I was like, I'm sorry that I did this. I won't do it ever again. I promise.
For the rest of my life.
Yeah.
That reminds me a lot of. So I lost my virginity when I was 15, and I was kind of a tomboy when I was younger, and all my friends were dudes, and we just would like hang out and do like dude stuff, you know. And then you start getting into your teens, and then guys are like starting to get interested in sex, and I was an idiot, and I just thought like my friends wouldn't like me anymore because I was a girl, and you know, so I was like, I guess I'll just sleep with my friends or something just to like make them still like me or something. So whatever. So I lost my virginity at 15, and I lived with my dad. He was a single dad at the time. It was just us, and that's a really awkward conversation for a father and a daughter. And the only sex talk I ever got in my entire life was I was 15. My dad came up into my room, and he sat down on my bed, and he looked at me, and he goes, "Are you having sex?" And I was very
Yikes.
yeah, and I was very defiant at the time, so I just looked at him and I went, yeah, I am. And my dad went, okay, and got up and walked out of the room, and no one ever talked to me about it ever again.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very ballsy for you to be like
Yeah,
the
I was
daughter
just
and
like-
say so.
Yeah, I was just like, I was being a shithead, so I was like, yeah, I am, Dad, fuck you, what are you gonna do about it, you know, and he was just like, oh, all right, and just like got up and left the room, and that was the only time.
I have a question for you two,
Yeah.
going back for a second,
Mhm.
about fingering.
Yeah.
Is fingering that great for a woman? Or is
Can
it like
be.
a teenage
When-
girl thing? Or
No,
is it like,
no,
or
can
is
be.
it-
It's great if it's like an intimate moment.
This
And, like,
girl
you're
who
just
I
touching
know
somebody.
told me the other day, she's like, then we left the bar, and then I went to his house, and I let him finger me, and then I went home. And I did tell her back, I was like, wow, I haven't heard that sentence from someone since I was 16.
Yeah, right, yeah. Like the back of your car, your back of your parents' car
I'm like,
or
wait,
something.
you were in his house, he fingered you, and then you just left?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah. I'm
Which
like,
I think now, as an adult woman, is like the most
Awesome.
empowering
Yeah.
thing. Like someone would be like, he went down on me and then I left.
like, you never
that's
hear
cool.
That was
Yeah.
the first
Yeah.
girl I've literally heard in 10 years say that. I was like, I've never heard that in like my adult life
Yeah.
from someone.
Yeah, no, I think that that's cool now. But then you're just kind of like,
Well, you can't just like finger a chick and like that's it now. You
No,
know,
that's
like-
what she did though. That
No,
was
you
actually
can't.
That's why
I
I'm
had that
shocked that you
recently.
said that. Like,
Guy
that's
came
weird.
over.
Like,
Guy came over. There was a lot of sexual tension between the two of us, and it was very forbidden. But he came over, and like, we like went and like laid in my bed,
yeah,
and he fingered me, and it was because I was so turned on by the whole situation, it was incredible.
Yeah.
And he was just like, that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to do that. And then he left. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Like, that was great.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, I think that's cool, and I think that that it's people kind of eliminate the whole foreplay thing, like you're just you get right to the sex, but you can do so many other things.
Yeah,
It
of
doesn't
course.
have to be penetrative for it to be a good experience, but I think
I'm partial to a blow and go because, like you, I don't know what I ate that day, and
Yeah,
I'm single.
right.
So, if I'm going home
I'm
with
sorry,
someone, and as a bottom, I ate fucking Chipotle or something that day, you're not fucking me up the ass.
I am not prepared.
you
I'm
just
not
push
gonna
the
be-
hand
yeah,
away, not tonight.
I mean, I work a lot.
No,
I
I
work
mean,
a
I'm-
lot, and so showers, sometimes I forget them.
Yeah.
And I might just be out one night
Yeah.
after work, and I'm with a guy, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, fuck, how many days has it been since I showered?
I'll
So you
straight
do a
up
little
be
finger
like-
test. You go pee, and you're like, would I? A little taste?
I'll
So
straight
you do a little sniff and a little taste.
Not so bad.
No, yeah, that'll be okay. He won't notice. It won't be a thing he tells
Or
his friend.
you're
Well,
like,
I mean, like-
big wad of paper towels and some soap real quick,
yeah,
Well, no,
really.
because with
I just
gay
have to
guys-
go to the bathroom really
You
quick.
can't do that on
Gay
the
guys
inside.
gossip if you poop. When I worked at a salon, one of the gay guys I worked with was talking about how a guy shit on his dick. He came out of the bathroom, and he saw the guy picking up the shit and throwing it in the litter box.
Stop it!
So that is
It's
scarred me.
definitely the cat. It
That
wasn't
is
me.
scarred me for life. To how he openly felt the need to talk about that to all of us.
Oh man.
So I'll straight up be like, I'm not doing that. I had a gecko meatball sub today.
I
Or,
don't
something
want you to tell your
you know,
coworkers about this. Yeah.
I didn't lose my virginity until I was almost 18. And so I had a lot of experiences because a lot of my best girlfriends were sexually active, and I would hang out with them, and I would always get pawned off on the friend, I'm gonna go fuck this guy, you have to hang out with his friend. And for a lot of years I convinced guys to just I'd be like, let's just lie and say I sucked your dick, because I don't want to do it.
That's
Oh
pretty
my
good.
God.
But my friends are gonna make fun of me if I didn't
But-
suck your dick. So will you please just say that I did and that it was great? So I went through a lot of that. But I remember at one point in my life, I was probably 14 or 15, and my friend at the time was super sexually active, and she took us to this guy's house. And I'm in this basement, and it's just fucking floor to ceiling ICP posters, and I'm so uncomfortable. I'm in a juggalo den, and
Oh, God.
and there's this guy there who tells this story about how he fucked this girl in the butt, and the whole room filled with this nasty smell, and it was just shit air everywhere. And I really do believe that it's given me a butt sex complex. To this day, I'm terrified of being the girl that some guy is sitting in the juggalo basement telling his friends about how bad my butthole smells.
Because you would rather
I
die
don't-
than be that
I
juggalo.
don't want
Or
to be
juggalette.
that juggaho.
The chugga.
I don't
That
want to
is
be a
true, though.
juggaho. A stinky butthole juggaho.
When you were
that's
talking
not my
about
thing.
your friends, that is that 12-year-old girl that gets fingered becomes the girl to go to for anything sexual.
Yes!
In school, you're
Yeah.
wait.
Yes.
I did that.
And she knows
Yeah.
all the shit. She knows
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
has the advice for everything.
Did it under the bleachers.
yeah, you're walking through school. She's like, I fucked him. I fucked him too.
Yeah.
And I would be like, I may or may not have given a blowjob to a man who doesn't exist, really.
And she's like, oh well, next time you do it, make sure you
It was
hold the
when I.
shaft, jiggle
It
on the
was
balls.
when I was.
She,
It was
knows.
when I was on vacation with my family. You would never know him.
Oh, it's like the Breakfast
It was
Club.
under-
She's in Canada.
Yes.
It
Now,
was under the pier. We were at the beach.
so I've had experiences where butt stuff happens and pull out, there's poop on my dick, so I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna wipe the towel off. Let's not make a deal out of this. But there's a time that I've actually was still going, and she's like, all right, I'm done with this. So I pulled out. I'm like, oh, there's poop on there. So I grab the towel and then just go into her vagina, I would
That's a
worry about
great
later.
way to get it
Yeah,
bacterial.
I know,
God,
I know,
you
I
want-
know. Listen,
Hey, baby, let me give you BV tonight.
yeah. Listen, it's crossed my mind. Like the next day, I would think about it. I'm like, oh shit. Like at the time, I was like hammered, so like I was like, fine, whatever. At least didn't just like have poop on my dick and shove it in there, but like try to like clean it off.
Yeah.
Now, you guys.
Like I mean, I've been in a relationship for a while, so like that kind of stuff would happen. Like he said to me, he was like, "I've seen your poop." Like sometimes you get really drunk and you're just like butt stuff. You don't think about what happened that day, and it happens, and like after a while, you just like wipe it off or like whatever. But I know that definitely like, like dudes would just be like, "Man,
A girl once
this
told me that
happened
she
last
did
night.
shit on a guy's dick, and she was like fucking him for a minute,
yeah."
and that like she was so embarrassed, she ran to the bathroom and like jumped in the shower, and like when she came out, he was like, babe, we both knew that was a risk. And I remember thinking that was like the most romantic thing.
It is. It's a
But
gamble,
like that was
though.
like
It
cute,
is,
like that
it
he like
is.
comforted her. But I have like trust issues, so I'm not gonna be like if I know I ate a bunch of shit, I'm like, fuck no, like
Yeah.
I'm not taking that risk with you.
I was at
like,
the Chinese buffet twice today.
Yeah.
You are not fucking my
Yeah.
butthole.
Yeah. That happened one time, and my ex was like, "I'm gonna get in the shower," and I was just like, "Oh," and he's like, "Trust me, I'm gonna get in the shower," and I was just like, "Oh man," and I felt like really embarrassed about it because I was just like,
Sure.
"But you put it in
But
there."
it's like,
Yeah.
it's the same,
That's
it's
the
the
risk
same
of-
as like, oh, you queefed or you farted.
Yeah.
Like
I-
I had sex with a guy recently, and he fucking ripped ass, and I chose.
Like during sex?
Yeah, and I chose to ignore it because
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I was like, there have been times that I've ripped ass,
Sure.
and I've been like, I hope he thinks that's a queef, but like it wasn't. It was definitely a fart, but like that's also a butt thing, and it's fine. Like
Yeah.
it's a butt.
Yeah.
I
You just-
think, personally, I think queefs are hilarious. I mean, I also think farts are hilarious.
Right.
But there was a time having sex with this girl, doggy style, and she farted, and she like just like got right off of me and twisted around. She's like, "Hey, you good?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. Why are you being
fart."
weird?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm not." And then she's like, "Oh, like let me get on top." And I was like, "Okay," like just pretending like the fart didn't happen, but it stuck with me. I'm like, I heard that fart. It definitely happened. You're pretending like it didn't.
Yeah. No, that definitely happens sometimes.
There was a really short pause when he farted, but I knew he was like, "Oh fuck," and I was just like, "Nope, I'm going.
You're going.
I'm
for
going
it.
for
it's
it."
Feeling good.
Yeah, yeah.
You're doing
Who
stuff.
cares?
Yeah, you skip
Sometimes
the fart,
noises
yeah.
come out. Like
I don't have to be like, "It's okay that you farted. Let's continue."
No,
I
yeah,
don't
fuck
know.
that. No, just
Fuck
keep
this.
going. Yeah.
Who
What?
fucking farted?
We both know. We both know the fart happens.
Yeah,
Let's
you're
just
not
fucking roll with
stopping
it.
mid
Yeah.
one
I mean,
and going.
it's a little-
Excuse
Did you fucking fart?
Who fucking farted?
Yeah.
No, nobody's gonna do that. You shouldn't. I hope that doesn't happen.
It's a little worse. Like if you're like, first of all, like the whole like girls don't fart. Like that's a little like.
I fucking.
That's
fart.
dumb.
But like,
That's dumb.
if you're like sitting on someone's face,
Well, yeah.
and it happens, and you're just like, that was right in your face.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think
so-
I've ever
I've
farted in
definitely-
someone's
I'm
mouth.
sure I've done that.
I've
I'm sure.
I've definitely gone down on a girl and like just really going at it and like I like
you
you're.
lose control of your
You-
body.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like like when you guys
Stuff is coming out.
right. So
I'm
like when you guys
coming,
come,
I'm
like you start like
farting.
contracting.
I'm coming and farting right now.
Yeah.
Please don't stop.
Yeah.
I can't stop.
That's what I'm saying, is that, like-
farting.
I've been eating ass before, and I've gotten farted in the mouth, and I kept going, and I kept going.
That's
like,
the right thing to do.
Yeah.
If there's a
Going.
right thing to do.
As long as
in
it's not
that
like a
moment.
pungent smell.
like if you're drunk,
Keep
while doing
going.
it, you'll just keep fucking
Don't
going.
make-
Yeah,
You, like,
just go.
even-
Don't be weird about it. Like that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like that's what like I was going on her and I was like right there and she like rips ass my face and like I darted back and I was like, oh god. Like took back for a second. I laughed and then I just went back in.
Yeah,
fine.
because like then that's the right thing to do. Bodily functions, it's normal. Don't make someone feel bad. Your face is in their asshole anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a risk.
Yeah.
It's a gamble. You know, you're going down there.
It was
so...
kind of hot. No, I'm kidding.
No. I'm glad
Do
you're.
it again.
I'm glad you're so.
Please fart in my mouth some more.
I'm glad you're so comfortable around me. But no, I mean,
I just got pink eye.
It's fine. I'll deal with it.
and then the next thing you know, like you're shitting on someone's chest, right? No.
To pay for an engagement ring.
Yeah. Full circle.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
I wish I had like a bell to ding.
Yeah, like there you go. There's being comfortable. Normalized butt stuff 2019. Sometimes you fart in someone's mouth and like what are you going to do? It's
Yeah.
fine.
But you're
That's
right.
fine.
It is a risk. Like, you never know.
Yeah.
Going down there.
Yeah.
What's going on with them?
And you're just hanging
Like-
out, you're having a good time.
Like, you are
Yeah.
just a
I
visitor.
wanted to share this moment with you, but also I have gas. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Has
okay.
anybody here ever like 69 licking butts?
No. Well, yeah.
No.
Probably.
I
Yeah,
haven't.
probably.
I'm
Yeah.
not that flexible. Like, yeah, like.
Yeah, me either.
I'm trying to picture myself 69 butt licking right now, and it seems
That's what I
very
just imagined.
uncomfortable.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's probably happened. Yeah. I mean, I probably.
Yeah, we're
Not like, let's
at
just
first.
lick butts,
At first, you start like regular 69, but then you guys just both go into each other's butts, just going to town.
Yeah, we don't like make a plan beforehand. Like we're gonna
Yeah,
69
like,
butts
hey, listen,
right
I want to 69 butt stuff with you.
Yeah.
No, it's not like that,
But
but
you
like,
get
yeah,
down,
yeah,
yeah.
and then you're just both going at each other's buttholes at the same time.
This
Yeah.
hasn't happened to me, but apparently Tony, this is one of your favorites. God damn it.
It's yeah, it's fun.
So I just had one more thing that I wanted to talk about because Tuna, you brought this up to me the other day. But you read some like astronomical statistic about men with mattresses on the
Yes,
floor.
it was a woman being mad about it.
Okay, so it was like something huge, like 75% of men in a certain age group.
Yes, in this girl's life in New York from her poll.
Oh, okay,
But-
so it wasn't just like this. Okay, so but
I think it's very true.
yeah, she said like a very large degree of people.
As someone who sleeps on a mattress on the floor,
I mean,
My
I
fav-
did for years.
my
Yeah, me
favorite
too.
thing
LD,
is,
your brother did that for a long time when I
Yeah.
would go over to his apartment.
my favorite thing to do is to hook up with someone who has a bed frame. Because it just feels so like high and mighty from my own life.
when I got a bed frame because my mother downsized and gave me bedroom furniture. Like that's the only reason that I have nice bedroom furniture. But I still live a life on that bedroom furniture like a person who only has a mattress on the floor. Like it's covered in clothes
Yeah.
and there's empty cans all around it. And
Like, usually the sheet's only half on.
yeah, and
Like-
at this point, I've had it for so long, and it was wooden, and I'm a trash person, so it's broken. It moves around a lot, and it's bad.
But that is most men in the world
See,
who are in like. But my thing with the men that, I being included, who don't have a bed frame, are not like the men you can have as husbands. Because I feel like they're not even ready for like pet ownership. Like that like shows like. Then I was looking up how much a bed frame costs. It literally costs like $30 for like a cheap one.
yeah, it's
like, that's
super cheap.
like-
Of all the beds that I've had, I mean, I moved out at 18, and for the most part, I've always had like bed frames. Now I'm like, I don't need to have the bed frame because it was actually more of a pain in the ass, just like hitting against the wall. Okay, if you're having sex, I've had times where I had to like stick a pillow
Well, it's 'cause you're,
behind
like,
that.
ass on ass 69ing. And
Yeah.
you're, like, looking all over, like,
Touche,
it's like-
touche. The ass, the butthole licking 69ing
Yeah.
does get really intense. But like I had to like put pillows behind the headboard so it wasn't fucking slamming against the wall. But I also didn't want to have like a mattress on the floor. So as long as I have like a box spring and like the frame, then I'm good.
I have a bed frame, and my bedroom is so messy and disgusting, and I slept on just a mattress on the floor for so long, but I still do like that thing. I still do judge a guy. I went to a guy's house maybe like last year, and he had like the mattress on the floor, and he had like 1 million fucking records in his room. but he didn't have like bed sheets or pillow covers. He just had a
Just a
unzipped
plain
sleeping
mattress?
bag, and an unzipped sleeping bag. And this guy was
Jesus.
like,
Stop describing me right now.
"No." I was like, "Am I expected to sleep under this unzipped sleeping bag? Like
No,
that
it's
is
totally
not
cool.
a
I can zip it
comforter."
all the way down, and we can use
If
it
I
as a
feel
blanket.
the cold zipper on any part of my naked body, I'm gonna be upset.
Wait,
Like-
was this? Sorry, I had to pee, so I missed the beginning of it. But this is not the ear muncher story, is it?
No.
Oh,
No.
you tell that one though.
The ear muncher. The ear muncher bed. Okay, so I went home we went on a date, and then we went back to his house, and then he was like, "I can't drive you home because I've had 3 beers, so you have to stay here."
3 beers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
Wow.
sure, okay. But I'm like,
What a
okay,
lightweight.
whatever. Like, he has this like really small studio apartment with this tiny, tiny little love seat and then a bed. And he's like, "You can sleep in my bed. Like, it won't be weird." It won't be weird. Okay, whatever. So I lay on this man's bed, and this is not a mattress. This is like a piece of wood with like a comforter on top of it, and then you lay on that comforter, and then you have a blanket over. There was no way that was a firm mattress. Like, that was a fucking
It was like
big.
plywood.
It was a big piece of plywood with maybe like a mattress topper on it at most. It was rock solid. Rock fucking solid. Anyway, so I'm like, I'm not into this at all. Roll over, pretend to be asleep. This guy fucking munches, straight licks, eats out my ear for like 45 minutes while I'm just like not.
Pretend
Wait,
to be asleep.
yeah.
Wait. Why did you let him do that for that so long?
I just like
It would
didn't.
be awkward to
Yeah.
make it stop.
I'm like, he thinks
No,
I'm.
it wouldn't.
I
Just go,
kept.
"Hey,
the time kept going on
you
where
just
I was
go
like,
"Hey, I just want to go to sleep."
but
you
I'm
can
like,
call it off.
I'm asleep. He's gonna stop soon, right? He's gonna get that I'm not like reciprocating. Like, I'm not into this at all. I'm laying on a fucking piece of.
I'm
wood.
imagining your facial expressions as you're, like,
I'm laying
staring
there,
at
it's
the
like-
wall. Like,
Tongue is in your
Oh
ear.
god, he was into my ear, like into your ear, like a fucking puppy.
What's really funny is that, like, I mean, 5-7 years later, a friend of ours hooked up with this same dude, and I had to ask. I had to ask her. I was like, "So anything like weird like happened with your ears?" And she was like, "Dude, like, yeah." Like,
he was in the ear.
I was like, "Yeah."
Do you
LG calls
think
her calls him the ear muncher, and she goes, Why was his tongue in my
do you
ear?"
think he's
Oh,
into
he
ears, or
loves
do
it.
you
He
think
must
he
be.
just saw one porn one time that had a girl being licked on
Girls
like her face
like
or her
this.
ear?
I mean, ears are
and-
kind of like
and
vaginas.
no girls ever felt the need to be
Sure.
like,
There-
you know what,
there are
I don't
head
like
vaginas.
this.
I don't want a tongue
Like,
in my ear.
yeah, like-
nibble a lobe.
If I'm like licking and biting like on a girl's neck, I will like sometimes I'll go up and just kind of nibble on the ear, but I'm not gonna stick my tongue in there,
For 45 minutes.
especially for 45 minutes.
It may,
It's like 5
it may have only
seconds.
been 10, but it felt like 45.
He probably thought, like, this is gonna get her motor going.
She's gonna
She's
wake
gonna-
up and she's gonna want more.
She wants this so bad.
She's gonna love this.
And I was just like, don't move, don't move, don't breathe, don't blink, don't
So
open
you
your eyes.
sat
don't do
there for the
anything.
entire time and just let him
This
do
was
this.
like, didn't want to fuck him. I really didn't want to fuck him. And
Yeah,
I didn't, and I also didn't want to have to be like, I don't want to fuck you.
yeah.
Like, I'm asleep.
Well,
Stop
all you had to-
touching me.
yeah.
All you had to say was,
seriously.
"Listen,
And this was
I'm
before
really sleepy
this was
right
before
now."
Lyft and Uber. This was before that was a thing. So it's not like I could have just like
You
gone
weren't gonna, like,
home.
call it, you weren't gonna like walk outside and
Exactly.
get a hail a taxi.
Like I was
Were you
like,
guys
I was
drinking?
like,
He had 3 beers.
yeah, we had
Yeah,
a
but
couple
how-
of beers. Like
Oh,
we
yeah.
had a 6-pack of some Great Lakes bullshit, and like we went to a cemetery. And,
It's a
and,
good date.
and he was like trying to touch me at the cemetery, and I just wasn't into it.
so you don't like your ear licked.
You can put your
What-
mouth on my ear if it's in a nice moment, but don't stick your
If
tongue
I
in
don't
my ear.
like
It's a
you-
wet willy.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
just like
If
kind of
I
like a
don't
little
like you, I don't want you to touch
What, like-
any part of me.
Yeah,
and that's
Sure.
basically where
What,
I was
like-
but
at.
like biting up the neck, licking. If you just have like a little nibble like on the lobe, you don't need to stick
Yeah,
your
yeah.
tongue in the ear.
Oh, stick your tongue in my ear. That's fine if I like you.
All right then.
Whatever.
So the cemetery is good. You can
No,
also
the cemetery was awful too. Everything was awful. But he was driving, and I didn't have a way to get home, so I was just there.
Didn't you say you had another Tinder date recently? That was shitty.
Did I?
I thought you had like I mean, besides obviously like little skinny guy, but I thought you had one more that was like.
No, I had another one, but it was actually quite successful.
Yeah. It
Oh,
was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
It was a good time.
All right.
Yeah, that's like not content.
No.
That's-
That was
like
no,
a
that
nice
was a good
thing.
time. Like we've hung out a couple times and it was good.
Would you let him lick your ear?
Absolutely. He could do whatever he wants to.
I've
my
never
ear.
had my ear licked.
No.
Do you want
No.
Do you want me?
No.
Do you want me to lick your ear?
to? You're
Maybe.
yeah,
Something new.
that's so. Maybe the next time you like go home with someone, you just be like,
I
Lick
used
my
to
ear.
hook up with a guy who was really into getting his feet licked.
oh.
And like his
No, I can't do
fucking
with
like
feet.
his feet sucked on, and it was like cool. He would get really off on it. Like he would be like moaning and shit over that, and that is
He's
like.
probably like really ticklish.
But no, well then I started thinking it was probably more like a dominance thing.
Yeah,
like oh
maybe.
look, like
Yeah, for sure.
I can make him like suck on my fucking gross feet.
I've
but
been
like
with dudes.
I'm super ticklish, and I'm not into
Yeah.
feet stuff.
I've been with dudes that have been into feet, like my feet, and like my whole stance on the foot fetish thing is like, if you're into feet, that's cool. If it means you want to put my feet in your mouth, but I don't want to put your feet
See,
in
I'll do
my
it.
mouth. I will. Like, I loved my ex, so I would do anything and whatever. But like, no. Usually, foot fetishes is like, if you want to lick my feet, go ahead. If you're getting off on that, do your thing. But I don't want to touch yours.
Yeah, I'm not into feet at
I
all.
think it's like
It doesn't like they don't like disgust me, but I also don't want to suck on your toes. Like,
Yeah.
if I have like you in like a certain position and your legs are up and like the feet are right there, and I'm just kind of like kissing whatever, fine. But like, I'm not gonna stick your toes in my mouth.
I
Some
think
dudes
there's
love to
something
suck
like
toes.
gross about it. Like
With the butt
it's like
thing.
the grossest gay thing you can do because like butt
That's the-
sex is normal.
That's
so
the,
like
the
well, I mean, that would
grossest
be
gay
like
thing you can do.
I mean like in public that you would sit around and talk about with people. Like
Okay.
it's like the shocking thing you can pull up.
Really?
I feel like because like
Huh,
butt
I
sex
mean,
is
I don't
completely
know.
accepted. I feel like
Yeah,
that's like the
that's
straight
true.
girl
That's
version
true.
of butt sex would be like, oh, I sucked on his feet. Which also like
Interesting.
disgusting level.
I-
I'll only suck on feet bigger than mine.
And how big are your feet? What size shoe do you wear?
So,
You
like,
are-
I'll
Wait, you
only,
said
like-
you wear a size 14?
Yeah, and I'll only suck on feet that are my size or bigger. That's like my other like.
I feel like
rule.
that's pretty rare. Holy shit.
Yeah. What size shoe do you wear? All right, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm like, all right.
Are
then I
you
guess I'll
Shaq?
Do it.
Jesus Christ.
Remember that picture of Shaq's foot? Actually, I would not suck on Shaq's feet. Like,
Not even
Oh, I
if it
remember
was
that with the
Shaq.
toe claws.
Like, it
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, if it was Shaq,
But no,
would
it
you
was,
do it? If
it
Shaq's like,
was Shaq.
even if it was Shaq,
Shaq's
yes,
feet were
from that picture
circulating
of
on
those
the internet.
feet with
They were
those
like the
toes, and they were
grossest
all
thing
like,
ever.
yeah. You know, they have to be like
So-
a nice feet, like not,
Not
a
if you could
callous
say,
foot.
like,
so
I
like, I mean, he obviously
lick
he's got
Shaq's
callous feet because he's an
like
athlete.
it definitely.
but like,
has
what
to
if
be
he
a-
went and got like his, nails trimmed down and
Pedicure. Shaq.
Maybe-
Pedicure? Thank
'cause
you.
it
That's
has
what I was
to
looking
be-
for.
and, like, you have to check him out before you go down there. It has to be a dude who definitely like.
Gets
As
pedicures.
he's jerking off and he has the lotion, like hits the heels too. Like it can't be like it can't be like
Fucking stop
like it
it.
cannot be just like a straight up like callous, like rigid. Like
now listen, if Shaq got a petty, would you do it?
maybe if he had like some dead fish or he had some fish in there eating the dead skin. Like,
If it would make me Instagram famous, probably.
honestly, I wouldn't want to know. I wouldn't want to
Goodness.
tell anyone I did it. Because you'd have to explain the backstory of like, no, they didn't look like that picture from ESPN. Like, no, he got them fixed up.
Man, that's brutal. I don't know about that, but that's funny. Yeah, that's interesting though, with like the feet being the weird thing. Because for women, the butt is the weird thing.
But
Yeah.
the butt's like the normal thing.
Right.
But
right,
I've also
right, right.
like I have like a handful of gals that are friends, and they've told me that they have boyfriends or dudes that they've dated that are into feet, where they're like, yeah, like they want me to use my feet to like jerk them off, and I'm
A
like,
foot
that's
job.
yeah, and I'm like, that's weird to me.
Yeah, I can do it so much
Yeah.
better with my hands.
I've never crossed that path.
No.
Yeah, I
I've
figure like
never-
hands and mouth would be way better.
Yeah, I've never done that. I mean that's obviously a
I've never
thing.
done it.
I mean, like,
No, I've
Stocking.
touched a dick with my foot before.
I mean, I've
Ludacris
touched it,
wanted
but I'm
to
not
lick
like.
from the head to the toe.
Yeah,
Like-
I've given a foot job before. I have. I remember it.
You've given a foot
vividly.
job?
Yes, I've given a foot job.
How was that?
Honestly, it was kind of cool because it was like we were together for a couple of years. We lived together. Like we were experimenting.
Nothing's
Is this
weird
S?
anymore.
Yes.
Okay, I thought so.
Okay.
And it was just one of those things where we're like, I mean, we were to the point where like he would put candy in my butt and then eat it out of it, you know, like that was
that
like
makes 100%.
we were like doing whatever at this point just to keep things
I
going.
believe all of that.
And at one point he was like you should like jerk me off with your feet, and I was like, okay, whatever, like
Sure.
let's do it, yeah.
Why not? It's
Like to the
Tuesday.
point where like I feel like at a certain point sometimes like sex can become something that is just like, I don't know, you'll just do anything. You're just
Right,
doing
yeah,
anything, and it's
absolutely,
like
absolutely.
you're essentially just like masturbating in front of each other at that point, because you're like not. It's not even like a connection. It's just like, what can we do to make me come?
Right.
Like, like
Yeah.
let's try this thing. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, I remember it. No, it was great. It was really hot.
Yeah.
Were your feet better than your hands, you think?
No, never. I think my tits work better than my hands and my feet. I definitely, with the dude that I've been hanging out with, like, I don't know that anyone has ever jerked him off with their tits before, because I did it and I felt like he really didn't know what he was doing, and he was just like playing along and going for it, but also just like very curious and watching, like, this is
Wait,
a
like
thing.
so, like
This
he was
is
like
a
tit
thing
fucking
that-
you, or like?
You were-
No,
you were
I
doing
did it. I did
Oh,
it.
okay,
What number
gotcha.
time was this you hang out with them?
3.
Oh, so he got fucking like a good third time.
Blew this dude's
Like,
mind.
Well, I was on my period, so I was like, what can I do to keep this thing going?
Fair enough.
Right.
I'm sure he really enjoyed that. He was probably
He
like, wow,
looked
look at
like
this
his mind
creative
was
way.
blown a little
Like,
bit. Like, he was like, I don't think I've ever seen tits that big, and I didn't know that they could do that.
Well, my thing is, I have small boobs. Like, they're a handful. They're like a good size, but for that specific thing, like, I've tried it and like we would do it, but I would have to try so hard to like get my boobs to like wrap all the way
I'm
around.
just, like,
It's
grab 'em.
popping out.
Yeah.
you
You
know.
just grab them.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Especially if I'm like laying over you, my tits are hanging down, they're like extra big.
Yeah.
And I can basically just like wrap you up like a burrito. It's like the ultimate. It's better, probably better than a vagina. I don't know. I'm not. I don't have a
Burrito?
dick, so I don't know. But a boob burrito. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been like, I will do that. I have done that, but it's like kind of a frustrating experience for everyone because it's like it's cool for like 5 or 6
Like it
strokes.
depends on the dick.
Yeah, and then
Like,
it just like slips out. I'm just like pushing them together so hard that no one's having fun. Yeah, it's like, I mean, I've been there, but for you, that I imagine that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like do it. I don't do that with everyone.
That's not your move.
But I was getting like, I was trying to get creative because I was like avoiding the like, I'm on my period, so I'm just gonna try to keep this foreplay going for as long as possible, and hopefully you come.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like
Yeah, because once he comes, he's like,
right,
we're good.
and like
Want me to
eventually,
call you an Uber?
and eventually he was like, you're on your period, aren't you? And I was like, yeah.
Oh, he
Yeah.
called you
That's
out.
cool. That's
Yeah,
cool, though.
so he knew. Sorry, that's
Yeah.
good then.
No,
But I'm
that's
like,
cool.
but I have other tricks up my sleeve. Like,
And that you
is it-
did.
And,
Yeah,
and then
apparently
here I was
so.
like, and let me just hug your dick with my titties right now. Like,
In a similar fashion, so I have my nipples pierced. I just have one, but I used to have both of them. And when I would go home with someone for the first time, that was like my secret little thing. So like you're making out, you're still like in just like your underwear, you know, and more times than I'm proud of, I've been like, you want to see something cool? And I take my bra off and I have my nipples pierced and dudes are like, whoa, that is cool. It's not cool anymore, but at the time it was like
Right.
a thing, you know.
I mean, like, visually, nipples pierced, cool.
Yeah.
But when you're sucking on a titty and you have to, like, bounce around like a barbell, like, in your mouth, or, like,
Which is why
this, like, and, like,
You took off
ah.
one.
I only have one.
Uh,
Because you get to pick. Do you want the regular one or do you want the crazy one?
You got flavors.
You want my crazy titty? I'll show you my crazy
that's
titty.
the thing too. Sucking a dick with a dick piercing is awful.
Yeah, remember, yeah.
Hoop guy.
Hoop guy.
Hoop guy. He had a big
Lost- he
old.
lost it.
He lost it
Wait,
inside
wait,
of
wait.
me.
What's Hoop Guy?
So I was like hanging out with this guy for a couple months, a couple years ago, and we had a lot of sex. It was a very sexual relationship, and I remember the first time we had sex, I didn't notice because it was very much like drunken straight to banging. There wasn't a whole lot of like
Let me
foreplay or
look at
anything
it.
going on. Yeah, I don't think I sucked his dick or anything. It went right in, and then I remember seeing it and being like, that's like a fucking big ass hoop in your dick, dude. Like, that is a wow.
Through the pee hole,
Wow,
right?
yeah, like a big
Yikes.
hoop dick. And and like one morning we wake up and I have to go to work and he has to take me back to my car because we had drunk the night before, and he's like, we have a problem. And I was like, what? And he's like, it's gone. And I was like, oh no.
What?
And he's like, I looked everywhere in your room, I can't find it anywhere. And I was like, for fuck's sake, I'm gonna be late for work. So I walk into the bathroom and I just stick my fingers up there and I grab this fucking hoop.
Oh my god!
Didn't the ball
Yes,
of
I
it?
yank it out and the ball just hits the floor and rolls away with this noise that's like boop, boop, brrr, and I grab it. Yes.
rolling across the floor.
I grab it and I walk into the room and I'm just like, here, I found it. Now take me to work. Like, fucking, oh my god. But yeah, like, you put that thing in your mouth and it's like moving around and it's touching your teeth and it's, oh god.
Anyone
no,
with a
fucking
tongue
get it
ring.
out of here.
Anyone with a tongue ring. I feel like that's what it's like. I've never kissed somebody with a tongue ring.
Me either. I would never.
I've only
I
done
would
it
never.
once.
I would never. The thought of a tongue ring makes me want to puke so much. Like, I just think of it as this, like, bacteria-filled
Yeah.
That's just
pocket in
holding
your
food
mouth.
inside there.
I'm not
it's so
judgmental,
awful.
but every girl who I went to like middle school with who had her tongue pierced is now like a mother of 4 with like 3 different baby daddies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah,
that was,
absolutely.
like, what the tongue ring
They're
like
usually, like,
represented.
Karma girls.
Yeah.
And anytime, like, I mean, for someone to have a tongue ring, you know, in your teens or your early 20s, it's whatever, it was a phase, but anytime I run into someone who's an adult in their, like, their 30s and they still have a tongue ring in, I'm just like, come on.
Adult men with tongue rings, I feel like when they're talking to me, they're like, I will lick your pussy. And
Like-
that's like all
like
I can
they
think
make
about
sure to show
is
off the
they're
tongue
like,
ring to you.
Yeah.
like they're like, they like touch it with their front teeth and they
The
like,
sound of it
Yeah,
hitting the
hitting
back
their
of your teeth, that means, like, I eat pussy.
I eat pussy.
Yeah, I have a tongue ring and I eat pussy.
But to me, like, a man with a tongue ring, and I'm not gay, I'm just like, to me, a man with a tongue ring is a lesbian. Because I'm like, he just loves to eat. You know what I mean? Like, he's
a
just
lot
like,
of lesbians do
have
have a
tongue
tongue ring.
rings, yes. Because it's a thing. It was always a thing that was like, oh, this feels so good because I have this little BB on my tongue that will extra fucking stimulate your clit.
there's
like,
nothing
no.
wrong with your regular tongue.
Right.
no.
Yeah, no. And that's why I'm asking both of you, Aldi and Cheeks. Now, have you guys someone go down on you with a tongue ring?
Never. I would never let that happen.
You
that
never had it
grosses me out
happen.
so
I would
much.
have to go to the doctor afterwards because you would infect me with your tongue
Yeah,
bacteria.
it's so gross to me that I would leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I like secret tongue ring.
That's-
I would rather have
you,
have someone
Tina?
with braces go
Well,
down
I
on
would say
me.
it is like 4 out of 5 lesbians usually have a tongue ring.
Yeah.
Like, and they're
And
usually
they
very
always stick
happy
their
to
tongues
show
out
it
a lot,
off.
like,
yeah.
It's blue.
Like every picture of them on Facebook is like,
Like,
the
here's
tongues
my
that they're like doing a rock and roll hand
And
with
with
like
my tongue out, my fucking tongue ring.
Yeah.
Oh
Like-
god.
All right. So, what about you, Tina?
No, I've never been with a tongue ring.
No, because ew.
Have
Like,
you had a tongue ring?
No.
No.
good. I'm glad that this isn't a normal thing because I think about it way more often.
I was talking shit about tongue rings at work the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, I hate them. They are so disgusting. I don't remember what brought it up. And the one chick that I work with just goes like, sticks her tongue out a little bit and shows me her tongue ring. And I was just like, I'm not sorry. That's
So you
really
eat
gross.
pussy? is that what you're
I
telling
know what that means.
me? If you have a tongue ring, that means you eat pussy.
Now,
That's
if a
what that
lesbian
means.
does it to either of you two, does that mean she wants to eat your pussy?
Yeah, and
If
she's
she's-
never going to. She's never going to. Take it out. No.
Oh, no.
Even if I
think that
love you.
Every girl that I've talked to that did have like a tongue ring, even though like I was like super drunk, I was like, you're kind of trashy, and like no, I'm not gonna
the
do
tongue
this.
ring seals the trash deal.
Yeah.
It's like an eyebrow
Yeah.
ring.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
the
Oh
tongue
yeah,
ring
the eyebrow ring is awful.
is more trashy than the eyebrow ring because it's
'Cause
like
it's dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in your mouth.
What do they say? Dogs' mouths are cleaner than ours.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not letting you know. That's
And
like
we're
my-
also licking buttholes.
Yeah. I don't want you to bring bring my butthole bacteria.
Oh, you're
with
gonna
your
get your-
tongue ring.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, your butthole bacteria is gonna be caught up in that tongue ring, and then they
No.
want to smooch you after.
someone's
But
getting E. coli.
The
What's
eyebrow,
happening?
the eyebrow ring is second trashiest piercing
Yeah.
on someone.
Tongue
It's
ring,
like- it's like
then
how, like,
eyebrow
the-
ring, and then the labrae.
Or what about like a Monroe?
Oh, labrae. is
Male
awful.
versus female. Monroes are trashy on women, but the labrae on a man
Yeah,
plus a tongue
that's
ring.
equal. Yeah, that's
I know
equal.
one guy who has it,
Your
and he's
mouth
the
just-
most repulsive person in the world. To
I
me.
know a guy that has it too.
Both tongue ring and a
Yes.
labrae. Yeah, like they go hand in hand.
And he was like the trashiest.
Yeah.
like-
Love Lincoln Park.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's gross.
The eyebrow ring is like universal. Like I
The
might be
eyebrow-
on Jerry Springer one day.
The eyebrow
Like,
ring just makes me think like you make bad choices. Like, you know, and even like later in life when they've grown up and gotten like a real job, like you can see the scar, and you know that at one point
Yeah.
they were that.
There was a
person.
woman. There was a woman the other night. I was with friends. My friends whose band got me the tickets to the Cher concert. So there was like a big group of people that I didn't really know, but I had met a handful of times. And this woman who I've met a handful of times was like the only other female. So she was really trying to like hang with me.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Do you want to go play skee ball? Do you want to go play like the shooting game? Do you want to go do something?" And I was
No.
like looking at her, and I was like, maybe if you didn't have an eyebrow
She did have
piercing,
an eyebrow ring.
Yes. I might consider playing games with you right now, but you have a dangly hoop eyebrow ring,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry,
an eyebrow
but
ring
I'm
is
just
a really-
not.
Yeah, an
And it's
eyebrow
true.
ring is a
I
really
was
good
trying
way.
to think of why I thought I was better than her all night,
And it was
and now
the-
I know.
It was the eyebrow
Yeah,
ring.
I didn't
Yes.
connect it.
If you have an eyebrow ring, for me, that's just a shortcut to we're never gonna be friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, like don't even
Like,
try.
like you're like, oh, I think you're probably
But-
a shitty
but
person.
you make bad
But
choices.
also the guy who got me the tickets, who's like got a really great job as a guitar tech for like a big musician, he also had an eyebrow ring, but I went, "Oh, he's German. It's fine. It's fine. He's still hot because he's German."
I didn't see
Like-
his eyebrow ring, and I
Yeah.
think maybe it's because the accent. It never even.
Exactly. It was like, "No, you're hot because you have this
So
German."
his accent deters.
Oh, yes,
reference.
absolutely.
I don't even.
I was
remember
like,
him
"I
having an
forgive
eyebrow
you.
ring.
You're not from here." Like
I don't even remember him having one.
he
So
had
that's
an
how-
eyebrow ring for sure.
That's how much I was
wild.
distracted by the accent to not even look up. Like I was
I'm
like,
just looking
I
at
didn't
your
even
mouth.
Know what was going
Thank
on
God there wasn't a tongue
Yeah.
ring.
No, there may have been.
Could you have
Oh,
forgiven
God.
a tongue ring?
No.
No.
There's
I don't care
no-
where you're from. You can't. I have the hots for Australian men, and I could not fuck an Australian guy with a tongue ring.
Yeah.
It's just a deal breaker.
Do you remember that Australian guy
Yes.
that we met?
I just want to show him a good time.
Okay, so I went through this period of my life where I was really interested in being an ambassador to our city. And what I meant by that is that I would just fuck anyone who wasn't from here because I wanted them to love it here. So one time, LD and I were at a bar, and there was an Australian guy there who was staying in a hostel and has come to the city and was just like going to a bar to like meet people.
He was
and,
named after a car.
yeah.
Yikes.
To see like what shit was about, and I was just like, oh well, you're clearly coming home with me because I want to show you what the city's all about.
Did you fuck him?
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Was he
totally.
uncut or cut?
I don't remember.
Uncircumcised?
There's been so many dicks. I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
I didn't
like,
think about that.
We're Facebook friends to this day.
Really?
But yeah, but like I had to drive him back
Wait.
to the hostel he was staying in the next morning, and I'm like pointing to stuff.
Wait, I
like,
thought you went back to his hostel with him.
No, we went back to our place.
Oh, okay.
We went back to our place. I fucked this guy. The next day, he was like, "I'm leaving the city today, and I need to leave." And I was like, "Oh, no worries. I'll like drive you back to get your stuff." And I'm like pointing out city landmarks. Like, if you have a chance, you should really
Here's
go
the
there.
Cleveland sign.
Yeah.
Want to take a picture?
I was just like,
Here's the
very,
free stamp.
Yeah, I was like very much like in my head because I was also like an Airbnb host at the time, so I was like really into
Strangers are fine.
Like, yeah, I was really into
But-
like Cleveland, and
But
I want to
you've
show
seen
people
a good amount
time.
of uncircumcised dicks?
I mean, I wouldn't say like a, yeah,
I've
a good
seen
amount.
none in person my whole life.
Oh.
Oh yeah, no,
What
I mean they're
this
fine.
guy that I had this like we would probably like run into each other maybe twice a year, and this probably went on for like 4 or 5 years of my life. And we had the most incredible sex. Like, he would be like, I'm with this girl that I'm dating, but I just ran into, we just have this like weird sexual chemistry, so I'm just gonna go do this. And his dick was uncut, and it was a magical fucking penis.
Did he clean it well?
Absolutely. It was never gross. And I know there's a lot of like shit talked about
Like
uncut.
Schmagma?
Yeah,
Schmagma.
yeah, but I'm pretty sure that any like adult man knows to not have that unless they're fucking disgusting. Like,
Yeah.
I've never. Honestly, it's kind of hot because it's like the difference between soft and hard is so significant.
That's true.
And
yeah.
there's an extra like they're fun to jerk off.
Yeah,
because
there's
it's like
so much going
yeah,
on.
It's like you have a fucking like a tool to help you like jerk it off.
Yeah.
Like it's like
it's extra stimulation. Yeah,
yes.
there's so much going
and
on.
apparently like it's extra sensitive too. So they're like
So you can
able
like
to get
flick
more
it,
out
and then
of
it's
it.
like getting hard. Like it's like fucking like.
It's like woo.
Yeah.
See, I
Oh.
thought you're more sensitive if you're not circumcised.
No, you're from what I've heard is that I'm not a scientist. I
You didn't think you
I
were.
I haven't studied dicks
Yeah.
besides looking at them in my bedroom or somebody else's bedroom, or cars or bathrooms or whatever.
A garage?
Garage.
My best friend growing up.
Wait. Cheeks, hold on. You're saying.
I've heard that they're more sensitive uncut. It's a
'Kay.
better feeling.
Only because
There's no.
our Asian friend, he went and got the surgery done. He was born uncircumcised
As most
and then had the surgery
As an
done.
adult?
As an adult?
Yeah,
I
he
heard
had
that's
the
the most
surgery
I know
done
a guy
at
who got
at
it done
eight
as an
at
adult because
done.
it tore during sex, and then he had no choice but to get it removed
But
because
this
the
was,
tear
Oh.
was
this
just
was an elective surgery.
Yeah, no, he did it only because the rest of us are circumcised. So he's like,
He wanted
well,
his dick
that's
to look like
weird.
yours.
Yeah, he's like, you guys are all circumcised.
My brother is not circumcised.
I know, I've seen it
I
Multiple
I have
times.
unfortunately seen it because my brother likes to pull his penis out
a
bars.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, let me tell you this story.
Oh, no.
When I
When that was a thing that you didn't get arrested for.
when
I was
I
like, oh, guys pull their dicks out. It's fine. They're just fucking with people. Now it's like,
Call the police!
You call the
You're
police.
going on
Yeah.
the registry!
when I moved out to California and I met up with him down in Hollywood and other people, we went back to like another friend's house. It's from Ohio. We were drinking there, and we always called his dick a slug because it's not circumcised.
Are we still talking about my brother?
Yeah. we're talking about your brother's dick. Soft dick. It's that's weird skin. It's just hanging over. It's weird.
Yeah.
So we're like, it looks like a slug. So we used to always tell him, we're like, oh, we're gonna pour salt on that slug, kill it off. We were fucking hammered in Hollywood.
And you
Went
wore-
back to our friend's house, and we were playing a drinking game. I was like, and he was gonna pull his dick out for whatever reason. I was like, why don't you just fucking pour salt on it? I was like, pour salt on that slug. And he's like, all right, fine. He puts his iPhone down on the table, stands up, puts his dick down on the phone, and we hand him a salt shaker, and he's just dumping salt all over it.
I am.
So
I-
everybody that's in the house is just like losing their fucking minds. And I know I have it on video somewhere, but I was like, I can't believe you fucking did this.
Oh my god, that's so gross.
I'm gonna throw up. I remember.
Sorry for talking about your brother's
I remember
dick.
seeing my brother's penis when I was like 6 or 7, and he must have had some kind of like infection going on.
No.
Magma.
And we were standing in the kitchen, and he was like, Mom, you know, like, there's something going on with my penis. And so she was like, well, pull it out and let me look at it. And I was standing there. And so I was just like, oh, I don't have one of those. What is that thing? Oh my God, he has a thing with a thing on his body. And I was like, I hate this.
Yeah.
I was like, never ever will I ever like look anywhere other than like belly button up at my brother for the rest of my life. Now that I know that this thing is attached to
But
him.
he pulled his dick out a lot.
A lot, yeah. No, he's a
Every
dick puller.
party that we probably did, his dick was out.
Yeah, for sure. No, I know. I'm traumatized.
You're trying to
It
block
sucks
it
you had
out.
to
It's
see
not
it.
funny,
Yeah.
but that really sucks. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks it's in your sibling.
it sucks. It sucks.
It sucks for everyone.
Having an
I
older
think.
brother is a weird thing anyway.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
my little sister's never seen my
little
dick.
sister's never seen my dick, but we're also like 8 years apart. Like,
So yeah, but I have one that's 2.5, 8 years apart.
I
that
mean,
are-
your
that are-
2.5
they're adults.
sister probably saw your dick when you
No,
were kids.
she's never. Oh no,
You didn't take baths together.
She's actually the stepchild.
Okay, so then that's
But she
different.
showed. But
That's
she
different.
showed up. I was.
I mean, I
maybe
grew
I was.
up having
I was
to
like. I was like.
share
I was like
a bathtub with
16.
my
Right,
brother.
Yeah, I was
right.
like 16. So she was.
Yeah, well, that's
14.
different.
Right, right.
That's totally different.
I was
But,
like
like-
6 when this happened.
But the like the
we were in the
full
kitchen, and I was
sister were
You
8
could,
years
like,
apart.
move it like that, and things are in there, and that's a
so
thing.
gross.
And I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, no.
I guess, I remember my straight brother walked in on me once jerking off, and he's like 2 years younger than me.
I've never been caught masturbating.
But I was like masturbating to like gay porn too. Like,
I haven't been caught masturbating, but someone walked in on me giving my boyfriend a blowjob. And it was just like our friends that we didn't know very well. And we were like supposed to meet up with them to go. We had been out together and we were going to go home and recoup and then like go back out together. And they like showed up at the house and just walked in.
No.
And I just had his full dick in my mouth in the living room because I don't know. We were drunk and it just happened. And they were like, whoa, and walked out. I think that's the only like walk-in thing that's ever happened to me. I don't think anybody's like walked in on me having sex or masturbating.
I don't think anyone's ever walked
Dick
on
sucking,
me
that's the only
for
one
sex
time.
or masturbating.
One time when I was in high school, there was a guy that was Hollywood. He was 2 years older than me, and I had such a crush on him. He was like the cutest boy in our high school, and he was a senior and I was a sophomore, and then they graduated. So it was the following year. It was my junior year. He had just graduated, and he had a Halloween party at his house, and I got invited. So I went solely for the purpose because he had commented on a couple of my MySpace pictures. So I was like, this is gonna happen. Like, I'm gonna hook up with this dude. So I get to his house, we're at this party, we're drinking, I'm 16, like everyone's super drunk. I was like sitting on this other guy's lap all night, and then he like made something like, let's go to my room, and I was like, okay, so I just like left this other dude and like went upstairs. But it was just like his friends, like just dudes being dudes, so he and I are having sex in his bedroom, and his friends opened the door and turned the lights on. And we were just like, oh my God, get the fuck out. Like, what's going on? It was horrible. And then in the morning, he was having a mental breakdown about it. And I realized that he had just lost his virginity to me.
Oh, shit. And that's why he is
In-
so excited. Like,
in-
well, everybody else is so excited.
Yeah, so I went over there. He commented on my MySpace pictures. I went to his party. I'm 16.
Didn't you say it was cool?
I thought he's weird, but he was very cute. And I didn't drive at the time, so I had to sleep there because I like lied to my parents about where I was. So I had to stay at this party. So the next morning, me and my friends, we all wake up and we're at this house, and he's losing his mind. And he was literally, he was drinking cough syrup on top of this swing set in the back of his yard, saying he was going to kill himself. Oh my God.
What? Why was he doing that?
Because I took his virginity and all of his friends walked in and like embarrassed him, and it was horrible. And we still have mutual friends to this day, so I have to like see him, and all I can think about is that day. And it was
Sipping on some scissor.
It was 10 years ago, and I still think about it, and I just feel so bad that like I took this dude's virginity and he wanted to die because of it. But like that was my one time where people like busted in the room and turned the lights on and were like yelling at us. We're like, get out! It was horrible. It was a horrible experience.
Your sex is killer.
I never got. Yeah, I guess I never got over it, and I don't think he did either. He still is just like really awkwardly cordial to me in public, like "Hello, ma'am." like he's like,
Hello, madam. How
we
are
have
you
close
today?
friends, so we had to. And after that, we had the same friend group, so we had to hang out all the time, and it was just. Maybe he doesn't think about it, and it's just something I think about, but I still feel bad. Like that just sucked.
That's weird and super awkward.
Yeah, super awkward. So I don't know, but that's me getting walked in on. But fortunately, no one has ever walked in on me masturbating.
No.
Yeah, I think maybe I would feel worse about that.
I know there's like a thing. I've never done it because it'd be really funny to do to Gare. But like online, they're like, oh, there's a game that you play like we start jerking off, and you yell for your roommate, and then try to see if you can come before he shows up.
Well,
What?
It makes you think of when I was younger and I would watch Real Sex when I was like 14, and I would be like, oh, this is really cool, you know, and like sometimes I would like masturbate, but like I watched this Real Sex episode, and this woman was talking about how when she was a kid, she would wait for her parents to like be driving down the street coming home from work, and so she would start masturbating, and she would try to like get off before they got in the house and
that's what I'm
called
saying,
her
like, I
name. Like
read
it was
about
like a
that,
thing.
yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna try to do this. So I used to do that all the time. Like it was something that I was like, this is cool. This is fun. Like, oh my god, yeah. No, I remember my first boyfriend that I like was sleeping with. Like we started dating like right before my 18th birthday. So I'm like 18, but I was probably a very immature 18. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like I'm like a 18-year-old with a job. I'm just this teenager that still lives in my parents' house, and he would come over, and he was creepily older than me, and we would like, my mom and her neighbor best friend would be like outside digging in the flower beds outside of my bedroom window, and so we would bang hardcore like right next to them, like the window was the only separation.
Oh my God.
And we would just like fuck. Like, it was so dangerous and crazy
Oh my
and
God.
risky, and anyone at any point in time could know, and there'd be times where a hand would smack against the window, you know? yeah, and like, fucking, I don't know to this day if my mother knows. I don't think that she does, because I feel like she would treat me in a different way, but,
Maybe, yeah.
I mean,
but
she probably would have brought it up by now, right?
never.
No,
Not my
wow.
mother.
No.
My
never.
mother, like, if I even, like, joke about, like, my boobie is shaking or something, or my cleavage, my mother is like,
I had something similar to that because I lived, so my dad, in high school, I lived just with my dad. He was a single dad. It was just the two of us in our house, and I was a little promiscuous. So, we lived in a duplex, and my room was the attic. And if you walked, so we lived on the top, the second story of the duplex, and his room, you know, like how the duplexes are laid out, his room was all the way that back room with that, like, normal layout. So his room was all the way in the back. Then the staircase was in the front of the house, and then the staircase up to my room was right next to the front door. So I used to sneak dudes up into my bedroom. Like, they would just, like, come very quietly to the front of the house and go up the front stairs and then into my room. And, I mean, our house was small. I mean, my dad was probably drunk and passed out, but, like, you know, he was, like, in the house, like, in the back room, and they would just, like, sneak him back out the stairs. But, like, there were times where I'd be up there and I'd be, like, hooking up with somebody, and I would just be like, oh my god, if my dad comes up here right now, like, hey, what are you doing? Like, oh, I never got caught. I never got caught.
sneaking people into my room, and I like to think that it's because I never got caught. I hope it wasn't I think that if my mother knew that there was someone in my room, she would have like,
Man,
I
You're
don't know.
freaked.
I don't know though.
maybe.
Or it was like
Who
out
knows?
as I don't think she knew about the guys that I snuck into my bedroom. I really don't, because I think she was drunk and passed out.
Yeah, right. Like, I relied on the fact that my dad had drank an entire, like, 24 rack of Bud Lights and was, like, asleep in his room while I was, like, sneaking dudes up into my room in high school.
Yeah, I mean,
But
my mother
we
started
did some weird
drinking
shit up there.
gin and tonics from the time she got home from work.
Yeah.
And by bedtime, I'm sure she was toast.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so hopefully I never got caught. My dad still wants to hang out with me, so I don't think he knows, but we went to Europe when I was, like, 21, and I was just, like, really into partying, and it was just the two of us, and we were in London, and we had separate hotel rooms, but adjacent hotel rooms, and they shared
There was like a door.
No, there wasn't a door, but they shared a wall.
Okay.
So I was really into Tinder at the time. So I was in London, I was by myself, and I wanted to party. So I was just finding dudes on London Tinder, and like my bio was literally like, I'm here tonight, you know? So like I would bring people back to this hotel room and drunkenly have sex with them, and my hotel room shared a wall with my dad's room, and he never said anything, but
I'm sure you saw an uncircumcised dick there.
absolutely.
Like-
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, but like he never said anything, but he also wasn't very happy that whole trip. So I kind of feel like he probably heard it.
Yeah, he just didn't want to say anything because it would be awkward if he brought it up.
His 21-year-old daughter,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So I don't know.
Especially after your sex talk.
Being a sexual being.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm having sex
Yeah.
right next to you.
Yeah. Can you hear it on the headboard? Like, yeah. So that was pretty brutal, but he never brought it up ever in my whole life, and I'm sure he knows, but my dad's a pretty sexual guy considering his 4 wives, so
Must be.
must be, but I don't know. Poor dad. I feel bad. Yeah.
Well, that was a lot of fun for this first episode. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Definitely
really
got a lot of hot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm glad-
yeah.
I haven't talked about a lot of that stuff in a long time. I'm glad to get
Hopefully
it off
we
my
didn't blow our
chest.
load for this very first episode, and there's more to come.
Yeah. Hold on, I
Everybody,
just gotta go fluff myself in the bathroom.
everybody, thanks for listening. First episode. Live fast, die shitty. Thanks
Yeah.
for listening. Get ready for episode number 2. Coming soon. Boom.